Have you ever felt like there's a part of you waiting to be unleashed? Something hidden beneath the surface that could change everything if you just tapped into it? Here's the truth no one's telling you. The real power lies not in becoming something more, but in uncovering the parts of yourself you've buried. Shadow work, based on Carl Jung's groundbreaking ideas, is the secret to unlocking your inner power. Most people walk through life disconnected from their true potential, suffocated by the mask they wear for the world, their persona. But what if that mask is holding you back? What if the very parts of yourself that you're ashamed of, your fears, your vulnerabilities, are the key to your greatest transformation? Sounds counterintuitive, right? The idea that embracing your darkness, your suppressed desires, could actually lead to greatness. But think about it. How many times have you chased goals that left you feeling empty? Or struggled to understand why you keep falling into the same patterns? The answer lies in the unconscious mind, in the parts of you that have been ignored for far too long. Shadow work is the process of diving deep, facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, and integrating them into your everyday life. It's raw, it's real, and it's the secret weapon you didn't know you had. Curious to find out how you can start this powerful journey? Let's dive in and uncover the parts of yourself that are screaming for your attention. It's time to shift your identity, embrace your authentic self, and unlock the power you've always had within. The unconscious mind is like an unseen reservoir, holding everything from forgotten memories to the suppressed emotions we avoid confronting. Carl Jung's concept of shadow work shows that this hidden part of ourselves is where our untapped potential and deepest struggles lie. Think of all the times you've hesitated, unsure why certain fears held you back. That's your shadow whispering from the depths. To unlock real growth, we need to get comfortable diving into this darkness. It's not easy, but it's liberating to understand that our weaknesses can be flipped into strengths. Most people go through life without ever realizing how much of their behavior is influenced by their unconscious mind. For example, how often have you reacted to something only to wonder later, why did I do that? These automatic responses often come from the parts of ourselves we've shoved away, out of sight. Shadow work is like shining a light on these hidden corners of our psyche. The more we uncover, the more power we gain over our actions, breaking free from behaviors that once felt unchangeable. To start this inner journey, you don't need to dive into therapy sessions right away. Simple practices like journaling or meditating can help bring these hidden aspects to light. When you notice yourself overreacting to situations, that's your chance to pause and ask, what part of me am I not facing? As you begin to embrace this vulnerability, you step closer to true authenticity. But don't worry, we'll explore more about that in the upcoming topics. Speaking of which, let's get into the archetypes that shape your psyche in the next section. At the heart of Jung's psychology are 4 key archetypes that shape who we are: the persona, animus/animus, hero, and shadow. The persona is the mask we wear, the face we show to the world, carefully curated to meet societal expectations. It's like that polished version of yourself you put on when meeting new people or going to a job interview. But the shadow is the complete opposite. It's all the hidden aspects you don't want others, or even yourself, to see. The real trick to understanding yourself is knowing when you're wearing the mask and when your shadow is creeping in. The animus/animus represents the feminine and masculine qualities inside us, often repressed but crucial for inner balance. Men tend to suppress their anima, the feminine energy of emotion and intuition, while women might hide their animus, the assertive and rational side. Ignoring these parts of ourselves creates an imbalance that can feel like something's always missing. Imagine always trying to act tough or logical, but deep down feeling disconnected. This imbalance is at the root of many internal struggles. Embracing both sides leads to a more complete sense of self, a critical step toward individuation. Then there's the hero, the part of you that strives for greatness, that fights to overcome obstacles and reach your highest potential. We all love the idea of being the hero of our own story, but without integrating the shadow, we'll constantly find ourselves battling unseen forces. For example, many successful people seem to have it all together on the outside, but internally, they struggle with suppressed fears or desires. This battle between the persona and the shadow is where true growth begins. And speaking of growth, let's dive into how different layers of the mind impact that process next. The human mind operates on three main levels: the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. The conscious mind is what we're aware of, our daily thoughts, decisions, and actions. Think of it as the tip of the iceberg. Below the surface, we have the subconscious, which stores all the information we're not actively thinking about, but can easily recall, like memories or learned skills. But the deepest and most mysterious layer is the unconscious mind, where our hidden desires, fears, and repressed emotions reside. This is where shadow work comes into play, helping us confront the parts of ourselves that the conscious mind can't reach. Jung teaches that our behaviors are largely driven by this unconscious mind, which means we're often unaware of the real reasons behind our actions. For example, if you've ever found yourself stuck in a pattern of self-sabotage or repeating the same mistakes, it's likely your unconscious is at work. To break these patterns, we need to bring what's hidden into the light. This is the essence of individuation, where all parts of the self, including the shadow and archetypes, are integrated into a harmonious whole. It's like finding balance between who you think you are and who you truly are at your core. So, how can you start tapping into these deeper layers? Practices like meditation or dream journaling can help access your unconscious mind, allowing suppressed thoughts to rise to the surface. Even moments of introspection during a walk or while listening to music can open doors to your inner world. The more you explore these depths, the closer you get to individuation, where your true self begins to emerge. And speaking of emerging true selves, let's discuss the power of identity shifting in the next section. Identity shifting is all about moving from who you think you should be to who you truly are. Many people live their lives chasing goals that don't align with their authentic self. Maybe they're trying to live up to society's expectations or family traditions. But here's the thing. Real success comes when you stop trying to fit into a mold and embrace your true identity. Think of it like shedding layers. The more you strip away the masks you've been wearing, the closer you get to unleashing your full potential. Carl Jung would say this is part of the individuation process, where you integrate your true self with the parts you've been hiding. When you go through an identity shift, you start to see that many of the goals you've been chasing were never yours in the first place. For instance, if someone has been climbing the corporate ladder but feels disconnected from their work, it might be because they're living out someone else's dream. In this case, the journey is not about pushing harder for success, but about shifting inward, questioning what really matters, and aligning actions with the authentic self. This is where you stop living life through the persona and start embracing who you really are beneath the mask. The power in this shift is immense. By being true to yourself, you open doors to opportunities that were invisible when you were playing a role. It can feel vulnerable, yes, but that vulnerability is where your strength lies. When you allow yourself to be seen for who you really are, the right connections, personal and professional, naturally follow. As we dive into the next topic, you'll see how embracing this vulnerability is key to unlocking deeper relationships and achieving success on your own terms. In a world that prizes strength and confidence, vulnerability is often seen as a weakness. But here's the paradox. Real strength comes from allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It's about being open, raw, and real with others, and most importantly, with yourself. Take Quasi, for example. He talks about how overcoming his fear of judgment allowed him to form deeper, more meaningful relationships. Instead of hiding behind a persona, he embraced his imperfections, and it transformed his personal and professional life. When you stop fearing rejection and start embracing your authentic self, you open the door to connections that are based on the real you, not the image you're trying to project. Now, being vulnerable doesn't mean oversharing or being weak. It means showing up as you are, flaws and all, and allowing others to see the parts of you that aren't always perfect. This is where true authenticity lives. And here's the kicker. People are drawn to authenticity. Whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or even business, those who are genuine tend to attract the right people and opportunities. Instead of focusing on how others will perceive you, focus on how you can show up as your real self. It's uncomfortable, but it's where real growth happens. So, how do you start? A simple way is by speaking your truth in everyday situations, even when it feels risky. Share your thoughts, your fears, your doubts. You'll notice that people respond with more empathy and trust when you're open with them. By embracing your vulnerability, you set the stage for deep, lasting connections and personal transformation. Now, with all this knowledge, you're ready to tap into the hidden parts of yourself, and we're about to dive into that in the next stage of your journey. So, now that you understand the power of shadow work, the question is, are you ready to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding? This isn't just about reflection, it's about transformation. Every step you take towards embracing your shadow, accepting your vulnerabilities, and integrating the hidden parts of your psyche brings you closer to your true self. Imagine living a life where you no longer wear masks, where your persona isn't a limitation, but just one part of a fully integrated, authentic self. How would that change your relationships, your career, your entire way of being? If you're serious about growth, it's time to dive into this work. No more hiding from your unconscious mind. Think about it. What's stopping you? The fear of what you might uncover? That's where the real power lies. The sooner you start, the sooner you unlock a version of yourself that is not only fearless, but truly aligned with your deepest desires and strengths. It's not an easy path, but it's the only one that leads to individuation, becoming whole. So, are you ready to take that next step? Start today by subscribing to this channel and activating notifications so you don't miss the tools, strategies, and insights that will guide you through this journey. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Shadow work is a lifelong process, and the best time to begin is now.